The scorching sun beat down on the treacherous road from Jerusalem to Jericho. Dust devils danced across the dry, cracked earth, mirroring the desolation of the landscape. Along this notorious route, known for its steep descents and lurking dangers, a lone traveler lay broken, robbed, and left for dead. Stripped of his clothes, beaten savagely, he was a silent testament to human cruelty. Barely breathing, his life force ebbing away with each shallow gasp. It was into this scene of profound human suffering that Jesus, the master storyteller, began to weave a narrative that would forever redefine what it means to be a neighbor. He wasn't simply telling a tale for entertainment, he was responding to a pointed question from an expert in the law, a man seeking to justify himself. This legal scholar had asked, "Teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" Jesus, with characteristic wisdom, turned the question back to him. "What is written in the law? How do you read it?" The expert correctly quoted, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself." Jesus affirmed, "You have answered correctly. Do this and you will live." But the expert, wanting to justify himself, pressed further. "And who is my neighbor?" It was then that Jesus painted the vivid picture of the man fallen on the Jericho road. The first person to come upon the scene was a priest, a man of God, revered in the community. His robes, perhaps, billowed in the dry wind as he approached the motionless form. One might expect a man of his sacred calling, accustomed to rituals of purification and compassion, to stop. Yet, upon seeing the wounded man, he didn't even pause to assess the situation. Instead, he simply crossed to the other side of the road and continued on his way. Perhaps he feared ritual defilement, or the dangers of the road, or simply the inconvenience of involvement. Whatever his reasoning, his response was a stark absence of compassion. Soon after, a Levite, a temple assistant, walked the same path. Like the priest, he too held a position of respect and service within the religious hierarchy. He came to the place where the man lay, and he did more than the priest. He actually saw him. He looked, he registered the presence of the broken body. But then, mirroring the priest's action, he too crossed to the other side of the road and walked on. Two men, representing the very core of religious observance, chose to avert their gaze, to pass by on the other side, leaving the suffering man to his fate. And then a third traveler appeared. He was a Samaritan. Now, for those listening to Jesus, this character choice would have been shocking, even offensive. Samaritans were despised by the Jews. There was deep-seated historical and religious animosity, a mutual disdain that ran generations deep. To suggest a Samaritan might be a hero was radical, challenging deeply ingrained prejudices. But this Samaritan, upon seeing the wounded man, was moved not by disdain, not by fear, but by profound compassion. He didn't cross to the other side. He approached. He knelt beside the stranger, a man who, if he were conscious, would likely have spat at the Samaritan. He didn't care about their differences, about the social chasm between them. All he saw was a fellow human being in desperate need. His actions were immediate, practical, and incredibly generous. He poured oil and wine onto the man's wounds, oil to soothe, wine to disinfect. He tenderly bandaged them, using his own garments if necessary. Then, with great care, he lifted the injured man onto his own donkey, foregoing his own comfort and slowing his journey. He brought him to an inn, a safe refuge, and there he continued to care for him through the night. The next morning, as he had to continue his journey, the Samaritan didn't simply leave. He gave the innkeeper 2 denarii, a significant sum, perhaps 2 days' wages, saying, "Look after him, and when I return, I will reimburse you for any extra expense you may have." His compassion wasn't fleeting. It was sacrificial, enduring, and committed. It cost him time, resources, and personal risk. After telling this story, Jesus turned back to the legal expert. "Which of these 3," Jesus asked, do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of robbers? The expert, unable to say the Samaritan, reluctantly replied, the one who had mercy on him. And Jesus' concluding command resonated with profound simplicity and challenge. Go and do likewise. This story shatters boundaries. It challenges our assumptions about who is worthy of our compassion, who truly is our neighbor. It tells us that love isn't confined by religious affiliation, social status, ethnic background, or personal comfort zones. The Good Samaritan was an unexpected hero, precisely because he transcended the prejudice and division of his time. He saw a human being in pain and responded with radical, practical love. In a world still grappling with division, difference, and often indifference, Jesus' parable calls us to a higher standard. It asks us to look beyond labels, beyond differences, and to see the shared humanity in everyone we encounter. It invites us to extend practical help, genuine kindness, and profound mercy, even to those we might typically view as other. It's about more than just avoiding harm. It's about actively seeking to do good, to alleviate suffering, and to be a healing presence in a wounded world. So, let us reflect on this timeless story. Who are the unexpected neighbors in our lives? Where can we cross the road, not to pass by, but to draw near? How can we offer practical help, kindness, and mercy, breaking down the invisible barriers that often separate us? This week, perhaps, let's intentionally seek out opportunities to go and do likewise, allowing love to truly shatter boundaries. Thank you for joining us for this reflection. We invite you to consider sharing your thoughts in the comments below. And if this message resonated with you, please consider following for more stories that inspire and challenge. Until next time, may your compassion know no bounds.